Hey there, game enthusiasts across all of YouTube. Welcome to this week's Gaming News Roundup, where I, your host, Christian, speedrun you through this week's gaming announcements, rumors, and overall chaos. If you liked the video, remember to like the video. Consider subscribing so you can stay in the know of all things gaming related. Let's kick things off real hot with Nintendo, and our first news article that we want to talk about is Tears of the Kingdom releasing early, breaking street date, leaking out to the general public, whatever you want to call it. It is bad news if you want to remain spoiler free up until the release date of Tears of the Kingdom. So just make sure that you guys are muting words on Twitter. You guys are staying away from the internet, staying away from social media for the most part, because people do have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in their hands. People are already posting up full walkthroughs, cutscenes, spoiler leaks, streaming the game, whatever. People are out there showing it off for everyone to see, so just make sure you're mindful of that. One group of people that were not mindful was news outlet Kotaku. So Kotaku released an article that's been doing the rounds across the internet, across Twitter, wherever you're looking for it. Pretty much in this article, they go through and talk about how unprofessional Nintendo is because Nintendo hasn't blacklisted. Nintendo didn't give them the opportunity to play Tears of the Kingdom early. So kind of out of spite, Kotaku was reporting to their millions of viewers, millions of subscribers, whatever they claim to have. They were out there reporting on the leak, not just as far as letting people know there's a leak out there, but they pretty much went into very deep details and pretty much letting everyone know all the things that they've discovered from these leaks, essentially spoiling a lot of really big game mechanics and story points. Things that definitely you wanted to experience for yourself were ruined by this article if you went ahead and read it. And for a news outlet like Kotaku, a big company, to kind of talk about this and report about this is kind of very unprofessional and unironic that they did it in the same article that they're calling Nintendo out for the exact same things. So it's just, come on, Kotaku, that just ain't a good look. But you know what is a good look? The Mario movie is out globally across multiple different countries, and it is breaking records everywhere it goes. It officially beat the 1 billion mark that they were pretty much estimated to beat. They finally reached that mark pretty quickly. Very impressive. Round of applause to Nintendo and Illumination for coming out with this amazing movie. Everyone worldwide seems to really dig it, and I mean the future is just really bright for whatever the hell Nintendo wants to do as far as making a movie. And it's just really exciting to see gaming, especially Mario, essentially the gaming mascot, be appreciated and welcomed warmly everywhere across the world. Speaking of movies, but moving away from Papa Nintendo and into the blue brand, Sony PlayStation, they released the first trailer for the Gran Turismo movie. If you haven't seen the trailer, definitely check it out. It looks really, really, really promising with some amazing acting, some pretty awesome directorial shots. I was very impressed. When I first heard that the Gran Turismo was coming out with a movie, I didn't know what the hell to think it was going to be about. But seeing them take this real life underdog story of someone who pretty much competed in Gran Turismo like tournaments and going out there and winning actual racing events is just an awesome story. It's gold for cinema. I think it's something that a lot of people, not just gamers, are going to be able to relate to. And I think it's just going to be an overall great time. So I'm very excited to see Gran Turismo in theaters. The highly anticipated sequel to the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, is coming out sometime in the fall, and we're inching closer and closer to the actual release date window. And Sony has decided to kind of start ramping up the marketing of Spider-Man. They removed the original Spider-Man PlayStation 4 from PlayStation subscriptions, but they finally released the remastered version of it separately from the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. So if you're interested, you can purchase the Spider-Man PS4 remastered for the PS5 for $49.99. If you currently already own the PlayStation 4 version of it, then it's just $10 more to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 remastered version. I have a lot of thoughts on this one. I'm gonna have a separate video coming out, but I do feel like it is kind of poor timing for them to remove PlayStation 4 Spider-Man away from people to play for free, but then at the same time kind of charge you for it right around the time they know people are going to be looking into Spider-Man. It's very questionable timing for Sony, but overall, I mean, Spider-Man is a phenomenal game. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. That way, you're ready for Spider-Man 2 when it launches sometime in the fall this year. Aside from the Spider-Man remastered coming to PlayStation 5, they also have a prequel comic that's going to be free for people to get coming out May 6th. Definitely look out for that comic book because it is going to be a prequel story to what we're going to be getting in the actual game of Spider-Man 2. So definitely very excited for that. Something that Sony PlayStation has been very interested in, something that is they made a point to point out as far as one of their plans going into this current console generation is the fact that they're heavily interested in live service style games. They're definitely shifting a lot of their focus towards that. They even made a commitment and promised to release up to 12 live service style games by 2026. Now, no matter where you stand on this, it is a very interesting take to see what Sony determines to be a live service game. And now we finally have some insight into some of their upcoming projects. Sir Herman Holst, who's the head of PlayStation Studios, discussed their plans for their 12 upcoming live service games. He was quoted saying, "There is a risk that we talk about live service in generic terms, as if it is a single genre or even a single business model. PlayStation Studios are making a variety of games that could be referred to as live services, targeting different genres, different release schedules, and different scales." So essentially what he's saying, what he's trying to get people to understand is the fact that they're going to be releasing 12 different live service style games. Doesn't mean they're all going to be free to play. Doesn't mean they're going to all be like Fortnite, Destiny style shooters. Doesn't mean they're going to be low budget or AAA. He's pretty much saying that they're making 12 separate games that are going to be their own unique type of entities that kind of follow a live service plan. And I feel like this is going to be a common trend that we see moving forward. And I know whenever people think of live services, they think games like Genshin, they think of things like Fortnite or Destiny. But most sport games are also live service style games. Gran Turismo was kind of a live service style game. Fighting games like Street Fighter 6 are live service style games. They're pretty much games with live service elements, which I feel like is where Sony is going to focus a lot of their attention, is making these games that could be kind of its own game just with live service elements. These last couple weeks or years maybe even have not been kind to the Xbox Green brand. With this last week, we had the failure of the acquisition of the Xbox and Activision merger. We had the failure of release that was Redfall. And just nothing really great coming out of the Xbox brand right now. Well, Phil Spencer had an interview with Kinda Funny, and it was a very interesting interview, I think, to see Phil Spencer speak so candidly and not avoid a lot of the hard topics was very commendable, I think. And there are a lot of things he said that I like, and a lot of things he said that I hated. Now, something that I want to give him credit for is he took pretty much essentially all blame and all onus for the failure of things like Redfall, for things like Xbox not having games. He wasn't really shy about saying the fact that he's disappointed in a lot of their output recently. One of the things that really bothered me was that he kind of skirted around the idea of saying what it is that they're going to be doing differently, and he kind of just waved the right flag and said that don't take anything he says to be a thing of fact or a way of proof of saying that Xbox is going to come back strong. He pretty much just said, wait for them to release games, and if you like that game, yay. If you don't like that game, they'll try again next time. And that really sucks to see them say that. I feel like I want him to come in and be like, yo, we fucked up with Redfall, but we're going to do things to make it better. And Starfield's going to be amazing. We have tons of games in the pipeline that you're going to love and you're going to be excited. He should have been hyping up the brand. And I understand, like, no one wants to hear him hype it up, but that's your position. You're the face, you're the person who's in charge of Xbox. And when we see you turn around and say that you can't make these promises because you don't want to make empty promises, feels like you don't have confidence in your own brand. Not to mention the fact that when they asked them if their hyper focus on PC is alienating their console division, and him not even doubling down and saying, no, we love our consoles, he pretty much just agreed and said, yeah, they're focused on PC, almost to the fault of the console, and that their focus isn't the console anymore. Their focus is on having Xbox Game Pass everywhere, and that it blows my mind. If you are somebody who owns an Xbox console, he pretty much slapped you in the face and said you didn't have to have bought that. You shouldn't have bought that because you could have played this on your PC, on your mobile, on your TV, whatever. You did not have to go out and buy the Xbox console. So for me personally, if I had an Xbox, I would be floored. I would be infuriated by what he said. But, I mean, Phil Spencer's going to Phil Spencer. He's going to do what he does. Here's hoping things turn around for Xbox, man. On to some somewhat better news, depending on how you want to look at it. Jedi Survivor's first initial patches for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation are out. And it does improve a lot of the frame rates, a lot of the graphical issues that we were seeing on PC, PlayStation, Xbox. I personally played and downloaded the PlayStation 5 patches, and I played through them. The game does seem to be running better. I do see a lot less frame stuttering, etc. So overall, I mean, kind of props to Respawn for releasing these patches so quickly, but also, come on, man, if you were that close to releasing it, a week or two wouldn't have killed you to just work on the game, to get it right on day one. Like, you were so close to getting it. I mean, even if it wasn't as great, if it was running the way it's running now on day one, we wouldn't have this issue. Game of the Year contender for sure. But the fact that day one, it was as messy as it was, man, you ruined the story of an amazing game and its release. But hey, this is gaming in 2023 now, man. Final Fantasy XVI is the first mainline Final Fantasy game with a mature rating, and I feel like there's a lot of like speculation as to what that is and what is it gonna be, how dark is it gonna get, how bloody is it gonna get, and I'm really excited for it. One thing that kind of broke some news was the fact that in Saudi Arabia, they're actually not approved to sell Final Fantasy 16 because there's some things in the game that Saudi Arabia said that they can't have in their game if they're plan on releasing it on Saudi Arabia soil. The developers of Final Fantasy 16 refused to take those out, and I'm very curious as to what it is that they refuse to take out. And I feel like usually in situations like this, when it'd be like Disney or even some game studios that refuse to take out a certain element, it's usually like a same-sex kind of situation. But it could be anything. It could be too much violence, too much blood. It could be something religious. Who knows exactly what it is. But I am very excited to see exactly how M-rated Final Fantasy 16 is, and if it helps to amplify the story. Overall, again, very excited for Final Fantasy 16. From one of my most anticipated games to another of my most anticipated games, Street Fighter 6, Capcom has came out and said that they expect Street Fighter 6 to sell 10 million units. And I know that sounds really absurd to hear because fighting games are primarily a very niche genre. Not a lot of people really get into it. But Street Fighter 5 sold 7 million units when everything was said and done with Street Fighter 5, and that was a game that released terribly, and it had so much bad reception that it kind of numbed the effect of Street Fighters, I think. And there's definitely a lot of people that probably aren't really as excited for Street Fighter 6 as maybe they would have had Street Fighters 5 been such a has Street Fighter 5 not been such a terrible game. But they definitely fixed it overall, and I'm very excited to see if Street Fighter 6 can hit 10 million units. I think it is very much possible. Capcom is running on all cylinders currently. They made things like Resident Evil 4, 10 million unit sellers. Monster Hunter is a franchise that sells 20 million units. They definitely know how to sell and move units and create games that everybody wants to play. So here's hoping Street Fighter 6 lives up to that, man. Our final news topic stays in the realm of fighting games, with Mortal Kombat 12 getting its first official teaser trailer. We got our first kind of graphics animation of what we can expect from Mortal Kombat 12, and it was kind of packed into this like ultimate final thank you from NetherRealm Studios. They released this kind of video that says thank you to all their fans for 30 years, and it just shows a lot of their developers and executives. It's kind of just showing appreciation for the fan base that allowed Mortal Kombat to make it all the way to 12 games. So it is really cool to see, and it was really nice to see them kind of appreciate us. And I just kind of want to say to Mortal Kombat and NetherRealm Studios, thank you guys, man. Thank you, Ed Boon. Thank you, everyone at NetherRealm Studios has been working on these games since Midway, and like, I love Mortal Kombat. It's a game that I've played since the original Mortal Kombat. Kombat back since Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3. I even love the PlayStation 2 eras where we got Deadly Alliance and Armageddon. I've loved Mortal Kombat for a cool minute, so I'm just very excited to see what Mortal Kombat 12 can be and how they can continue to push the envelope on what gory and action combat Mortal Kombat can be. Well, that does it for this news roundup video. Let me know down below if there's anything that got you guys excited, if you guys are kind of disappointed in Xbox right now. Whatever you guys want to let me know, leave it all down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy the video. Please consider subscribing, as it does help me